Oh, baby. Oh, baby, for sure. We honor this episode of the Curfew Boys to the legendary Bob Cole, who passed away on April 24th, around a week ago, at the age of 90. And to the voice of hockey in Canada on Saturday nights, Bob Cole, we
There
honor
was
you.
not going to be another. There's not going to be another like him.
He
That
was
voice
he was the
is
voice of Canadian hockey on the weekend
hands down,
on Saturday night.
hands down.
So this one's for you, Bob. Brand new episode of the Curfew Boys. Myself, Sammy, with Zook and
Hey
Chris.
now,
Hey now, yeah. Episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcast. We are on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. It is free. Tell your friends about us. Share the love that we have for Bob Cole and our Montreal Canadiens and the Stanley Cup playoffs. And yeah, you know what? I was thinking about something specific that happened in my life in the past. So playing junior hockey with some of my buddies from home. When we'd have like these road trip tournaments, like in Quebec City or around that area. One one of my friends, Mike, he was amazing at imitating Bob Cole's voice. So I remember this one time, like we shared hotel rooms during the road trip. So like then there was times where like we would just all chill in the room. Either someone would bring their Xbox or their PlayStation, or sometimes we would just shoot the shit, just sit, lie down, whatever. And at one point it got quiet, and then my buddy Mike, he's just like, Sundin scores, what a goal. He gets that Bob Cole voice going on.
Sundin.
Yeah, and it like he was doing that. He did the whole one of Bob Cole's most memorable broadcasting was when Steve Yzerman scored the series winning slap shot at the blue line against St. Louis. Like he fucking ripped it top corner, like the goalie didn't even have a
Yeah,
chance. And Bob Cole on that one, he's like, Yzerman. And so I remember my buddy when at one point he's doing like a couple like these Bob Cole iconic um moments, and then as soon as he yelled Yzerman, I remember all of us, we were just dying on the floor because he was spot on with the voice. And it got me thinking that, like, my God, like at that time we were like what, 21. We were 21, 22. It was the end of our time in junior. And it kind of made me think how like man, you don't realize how much like Bob Cole was the guy for hockey Saturday nights in Montreal, or like even of all of Canada. And like he was there for my goodness, a good part of our lives. You know what I mean? Like it's insane. It's insane when like it's so
most of our life.
it's something it like you would think it's something so simple, just calling a hockey game. But like when a guy does that for years on end and he makes you feel as if you're part of that moment, you're there in that moment in the comfort of your living room or wherever you are in your own house. Like there's there's a reason why he's probably going to go down as one of the greatest Canadian hockey broadcasters of all time.
English speaking.
Yeah, and for English Canada, at least, for sure.
Mhm.
So
The only
it's
issue that I always had with him, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, and it's not an issue, but like I'm just saying, for me, I always thought he was a Toronto Maple Leaf fan.
he was a Habs fan. You
Was
know,
he?
yeah,
Man,
of course he was. Yeah, he did a lot of Montreal. You know what I think he was? I think he loved the Canadian teams.
Canada in general.
I
Okay,
think he
got it.
loved the Canadian teams. Like he loved Gretzky. He loved the
Yes.
Oilers. Like, I mean, my
Mhm.
God, like a dynasty. But dude, he grew up watching he grew up watching almost all the dynasties. Like I think as a kid he was able to see Toronto in the late 30s, mid 40s. Well, he was born in 33, right? So, but dude, he got to see the Montreal Canadian dynasties in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Then he saw the Oilers. You know what I mean? So like he got to see the best of like at least the most popular Canadian teams in the NHL. But he obviously, of course, he loved Toronto. He lived there. He's from there. He worked for CBC, worked for Hockey Night in Canada. So it's probably safe to say that yeah, he was a Leafs fan, but he did not dislike the Montreal Canadiens. If anything, he loved the Canadians. He loved Guy Lafleur. He loved Jean Beliveau. I think he loved Patrick Waugh too. Like when Patrick Waugh broke in the league and
Who doesn't?
did the playoff performance he did, you know what I mean? He loved Mario Lemieux big time. So and you hear it in the voice, like when Mario Lemieux deked the shit out of the defender and the goaltender of the North Stars. Exactly. Look at Lemieux. Oh my goodness. Oh baby. Like, dude, like you know what I mean? It's that's probably his most memorable, or I think probably that's one of his most iconic commentaries in the history of his career. I personally think I'm gonna go back to the very first moment that my first moment that of or at least the moment I remember the most when I really started watching hockey religiously was the 2002 Winter Olympics when Canada was playing against the United States of America, and there were two goals that like made I jumped, but he also brought life into that moment. It was Paul Carrillo's goal where Mario fucking Mario Lemieux faked.
Oh yeah, that pass.
But dude, he let the puck go through his legs.
Yeah, but like it went. Yeah, it was a cross-ice pass,
dude. And like for him to do that, knowing that Korea's on the left side, just coming in, like so there was that goal when Bob Cole lost it on that goal. But then when Joe Sakic scored, like one of the goals, like the insurance goal, I believe, and you hear Bob Cole's like Sakic, surely that's gotta be it. Like that was like one of my first memorable moments of Bob Cole commentating.
Yeah, listen, we were in those days. We were becoming, we were growing into ourselves basically within hockey. Like 2002, right? You said so. We were what 10, 11?
Oh, we started high school, so we are like 12, 13.
Yeah, so we were just starting to know who the hell we were. We were starting to be conscious, so to speak, and that was happening, right? We were seeing that. In my opinion, okay, I saw a replay not too long ago of that series of that era of hockey, and Jesus, my God, the pace is totally different than nowadays, eh? Like the game, you could have followed it a lot easier back in the day. I find like the plays, you could have known what the hell he's gonna do, and you see how they skate. And of course, Paul Carrillo was one of the fastest ones in those days.
Oh yeah, he really was.
Relatively speaking, but if you put him nowadays, he's like equivalent to like a fucking Jake Evans, like in terms of speed. I'm saying, like, of course, brains is a different story, but like the pace of hockey, man, this is totally different. But Iginla too was there, and he was young in those days, and he was one of those players too that was like that apex. He was starting to be, the fast hockey was starting to come in.
I think in 2003, that's when he scored the 50. I think he split the Rocket Richard Trophy.
There you go. Yeah,
I don't know if that was. Wow. I don't know if that was the year with Rick Nash. If he split it with Rick Nash, they both had 50. They both had 50
Nash
goals.
too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that moment, Chris. I don't know which or both of you, which memorable moments you have of Bob Cole, but like that was like the starting point of like really understanding who Bob Cole is.
That's pretty much it, man. Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys carbon dated yourselves by listing those highlights in Korea and Sakic. I was 10 years old during the 2002 Winter Olympics, so I was a little bit, young. Again, the whole magic and everything Saturday nights, like you said, just look, the intro is based half of the goals that are that are shown to pump you up in the intro in Hockey Night in Canada. Like, you have to realize this guy put his stamp on some of the best goals throughout the history of hockey over multiple decades. It's absolutely, like, what he did was second to none. There have been some great voices. Like, I personally really, really loved Doc Emmerich. I thought he was
Yeah.
very, very, very exciting as a
Yeah.
commentator. But
Yeah.
Doc
Big time.
Emmerich does not have that stamp. Like, Bob Cole goes down in history as the legendary commentator. I don't think anybody did it as long as him. Again, like I said, I don't think anybody called as many magical moments, goals as he did. Whether it was on a national level, whether it was on the NHL side of things, he just really the one thing you guys were saying, you don't know if he's a Leafs fan, if he was a hockey fan, and I think what he did so much better than most is he captured that energy in the building. This was also Ron McLean who said it. He captured the energy within the building, and he propelled, like Sammy said, you felt like you were there. Literally, like, example, PK Subban, if you were blindfolded and PK Subban picked up the puck about 10 years ago and he was skating up the ice, if you were blindfolded, you knew as a spectator in the crowd who had the puck and who was racing upward. Well, Bob Cole kind of captured that energy. As the crowd got louder, Bob got more loud. As a big hit came through, as a big play, a great pass, great goal, he was absolutely incredible. And his voice timestamps so many magical moments for so many fans across so many different teams. And that's why I'll put the stamp on a stamp of approval. I think he is the GOAT of hockey announcers. I think it's fair to say.
In English.
In English,
yes.
But
don't get me wrong. Pierre Hood has been doing something magical for a very,
I think
very
Pierre
long
Hood
time,
will have that stamp for the francophone language.
Dude, 1,000%.
Eventually,
it's funny because, like knock on wood, Pierre Hood still has a couple of years left in him. But like when Bob Cole passed away, we all heard the news. Maybe 24 hours later, I was there thinking, like, my God, Bob Cole, like, this one hurts, like a guy we couldn't wait to watch hockey on Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada, and he was the reason why. Despite just put aside the fact that we want to watch our Montreal Canadiens versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, we were excited because it was a rivalry. It was Saturday night, but like, let's be honest, you couldn't wait to hear Bob Cole announce the game. Like even if you didn't, even if exactly, hello, it's Saturday night in Montreal, folks. Listen to this crowd.
It was, it's more the playoffs. I remember, like, come playoffs.
This is Montreal. Like, you hear that, you're just my God!
It's. I'm getting the shivers just thinking about.
Honestly, we've spoken about this.
Sorry, because then I was thinking about Pierre Hood, and it was like, my God, like, the day that his time comes, like that's gonna be sad too, because he was the voice of Montreal for francophones. But like, whether you were an anglophone or a francophone, like, him too, you appreciated his passion when he would call the Montreal games. There's nobody like him in terms of French broadcasters for the Montreal Canadiens. But back to Bob Cole, it's like, man, he was able to pump up the excitement meter like every Saturday night. Every single one of them.
Yeah. So like I was gonna add, we've spoken about this in previous episodes where, like, I think it was Anthony was saying how generally there's less of that emotional engagement from the fans and the games, like the new games. Like back when we were growing up, when the Habs played the Bruins, we would put that on our schedule and like be excited the day before. And even media and TV was like commercials about the game, and game Thursday night, that's 7:05, or whatever it used to be back in those days. I found that games on Saturday, like playoffs, for example, with Bob Cole, it's like you waited for that. And I find that it's been missing since, like, the lack of Bob Cole and things like that. And It's
Yeah,
like
they
it's not
substituted
as engaging, I find, anymore. Even the new
because they
playoffs, even though the games are good, it's like anyhow.
Yeah.
Very sorry, Zook. They substituted it with sports betting sites constantly. I have to see Austin Matthews shooting pucks because I think he
Put his
recorded.
fucking
Yeah, he recorded that
mustache.
on the days off that he had. That's why he's been missing. But
For Uber Eats.
that is. But that is you're dead on right, and you know what you make me think. I don't want to stray away from Bob Cole, but even back in the day, you had Jay Onright, so you would be like Wednesday, Jets, Canadians, and then you just lose his shit and you start screaming. Like everything was based off of you were there. It was an event. Now it's just like it feels dirty.
It
It's
was
almost like
emotional. It
you're
was
watching the next
rivalry. It
hockey
was all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
another one, I think another one of my favorite Montreal Canadiens versus Toronto Maple Leaf moments of all time has to be when Kovalev fucking gave Darcy Tucker the beautiful elbow right to his fucking schnoz. And Bob Cole is there. It's like, here comes Kovalev, and he ran into Tucker, and this place is going crazy. Like something like that.
And right before that play, Kovalev did a sick ass deke.
Yeah. So like that's another one of my favorite moments. But you know, there's this one particular moment though. I wish like we were alive, Chris. I don't know if you were, but I wish Zook we were conscious enough in knowing what the heck was going on in this city. But can you imagine being the age in your 20s or the age we are now, watching Desjardins score that goal in overtime versus the Kings, and you hear Bob Cole screaming on the TV, Desjardins, and the series is a brand new one. Like,
what's the word? What's the J word?
If dude, yeah, like, no disrespect, we probably would have jizzed everywhere.
Right.
Like, but can you imagine, like, Chris, our uncle, our fathers, and our Uncle Joe? Can you imagine watching that game in your TV in your living room, and you see that goal, and you hear Bob Cole fucking scream it?
No, I think like I watch. We're getting there. I don't want to get there too quickly, but that playoff run. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley. When he says they win the Stanley Cup, like I have tears in my eyes. We're dying for that moment, but he captures. I've got like my beard hairs are standing up as I say that. I didn't do justice to his voice. I know that. I'm sorry, fans, but I'm
but there's listeners here that I'm sure there are listeners listen to this right now that are like, they watched that moment and they heard that moment, like both the Desjardins moment, the moment the Canes won the cup, the moments where John Leclerc won it in overtime again. And the Canadiens win in overtime again. Like, dude, we have some viewers here that remember that moment. Like, this is, like you said, me too. I'm getting shivers thinking about it. Like, what? Imagine if we were watching that game.
He, like I said, he captured the magic oh so well. He and you think back, he was a part of so many. Like he is the voice of hockey. I will arguably say he's the voice, at least in Canada. This man was the voice of hockey. If no matter what team, whether you were watching the Oilers win their first Stanley Cups, whether you were watching the Calgary Flames win their first Stanley Cups, if you were magically alive to win, no, that's right, Toronto. You never heard Bob Cole call a Stanley Cup.
Well, I don't know if you. I don't know.
Let's say the three winning teams. The three winning teams. You heard Bob Cole put his stamp on your team winning, and that's a magical moment. That's a moment where a whole city, a whole fan base that might be spread out across the country, across multiple countries. It's a unifying, special, never take it away, always stick by you type moment, and he's part of it. Yeah. Whether you realize it or not, he's so important there. And oh man, like we don't have in our lifetime, sadly. Well, yeah, you guys, I was less than a year old, so I was still in my crib when the Canadians were busy winning their Stanley Cup and winning all those overtime games. But now, like, again, we don't want to live in the past. We have a few great runs that we went on since then, but you want to hear the Canadians win the Stanley Cup. Like, again, who's the voice behind it? It's Bob Cole, and as much as it's been more than 30 years that has occurred, it's still a magical moment, and he still makes it a magical moment every single time you listen to the clip.
And his voice is the leading cause of it. He leads those highlights away with his call. So yeah, one last moment. I think that I remember Zook. We messaged each other. We messaged the group too back in, what was it, 2019? What's the exact? I think it was April 6th, 2019. It must have been Bob Cole's very, very last game. What better way to end it with a Montreal-Toronto game on a Saturday night? That's your final game.
How big was the standing goal, eh?
Pardon me? Yeah.
How big was the standing ovation?
He got a standing ovation. I think at one point you hear him getting choked up. He's saying thank you.
Yeah.
And he got to see Ryan Poehling set the bar way too high for himself. well, can you imagine you call it a career when you see a kid for the Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center playing his first NHL game, scoring not only his first NHL goal, his first NHL hat trick, and scoring the game-winning shootout.
Yes, sir. That's that last goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, exactly, Chris. And then after everybody says, then just the last few words, and that is all she wrote. It's like Bob Cole. Thank you, sir.
Now, see you next life.
We'll see you in the afterlife, big time. Okay, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful homage to the great Bob.
I'm torn because there are so many more moments we didn't call. Us was by Carey Price. We grew up. We were in our prime time years.
Yeah.
He made so many Carey Price save calls that went undone. Mike Camilleri, hat trick against the New York Rangers on a Saturday night. Overtime goal. Amazing moment, too. So those are honorable mentions to you, Bob.
Big time. The playoffs, guys. Are you enjoying these playoffs so far?
Insane.
Yes. I'll enjoy them more once Toronto's eliminated.
Honestly, I don't think they're going to go anywhere further from this. They were quite lucky last game.
Fucking Bruins, man. I was watching that game from start to finish. It doesn't make any sense that the two teams I hate the most, the Bruins and the Maple Leafs, are causing me stress. They're stressing me out. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense where I have to cheer for the hated Bruins because I can't stand even more the Toronto Maple Leafs. It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense how fucking Boston, they took this fucking game too lightly. How do you allow 20 shots on net in the first period? Well, not 20 shots, but you only take 2 shots on it. It didn't make any everything about 24 hours ago, or if you're listening, 48 hours ago, it didn't make any fucking sense. Like none of it made sense on Tuesday night. The fucking they blew it.
My only hope in all that is that look, it's another extra game that Boston has to play. Hopefully they get beaten down a little bit more. They squeeze by and then they have that much less energy in the next round. That's the positive I'll take out of that.
Sure. I just don't want to see the Leafs advance past the first round for obvious reasons. Listen, I don't think the Bruins are going to play the same way like they did the other night, but like Jesus Christ, the amount of turnovers, the amount of sloppy passes, they're coming in plays trying to create too much of a play instead of shooting on net. Granted, fucking Joseph Woll, whatever stupid name is, like he saved their asses. Walt saved their asses. He saved the Maple Leafs. He literally, honestly, he saved them enough to live to see another day.
Honestly, though, if you look at like the past or historically, if you will, with Jim Montgomery, can't even say his name, Jim Montgomery, they usually have good bounce back games. If you look at their records, like even during the season, of course, the season is a different league, not a different league, but it's a different series, if you will. But if you look at historically, they usually bounce back, the Bruins, the next games. If they have a bad game, the next game they come out and it's like fucking strong. I don't know if that's a coaching, if that has come down to coaching, which I think it does because he's a great coach, Jim. I think they're not gonna do or let the Leafs ride them like they did last game.
Mm-hmm. I tend
to, and even at that, it was just 2-1, and the Leafs were like dominating. So,
dude, but that's the point. So like a lot of people are giving credit to the Leafs for coming out strong and all that, and it's like, sure, you outshot them big time, but it's like they weren't that much. Like the only reason why they won is because the Bruins sucked last night more than anything. Yeah. It wasn't because the Leafs were great; it's because the Bruins sucked, and Swayman made 2-3 big saves. But when Max Domi is on a 2-on-1 twice and decides to pass, and Swayman makes the exact same save, like you know what I mean? It's the Leafs weren't that much better. They outshot them, sure. John Tavares made the one good play. Like Matthew Nice was probably the only player that was consistently good for them the other night. Otherwise, man, like Pasternak was invisible. Brand Marchand fucked up many times and he lost his cool. Yeah. Charlie McAvoy on the game-winning goal was just taking pictures, standing still, taking pictures. He wasn't covering his guy, which ended up being Matthew Nice, or like towards as he was approaching the net. It was just mental errors all over the fucking board. They sucked in the faceoffs, which is kind of rare. Charlie Coyle is pretty good at the face of Zaka.
Wait, how much is a Bergeron missing in this fucking team, dude?
Yeah, but face off. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you're leading 3-1 without a Bergeron, without Krejci, like you should put this fucking away. And Jim, like right now, if you're the Boston Bruins, are you wondering like, oh fuck, not again? Like last year when they were up 3-1 against the Florida Panthers. Like,
I know, but Florida Panthers and the Leafs,
two different teams. I get it.
I think so, yeah, and I think Florida's a lot stronger than Toronto.
It's a fact. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But if knock on fucking wood, if the Bruins fucking blow this and they lose like Jim Montgomery, they're gonna have to question him. Like, you're so good in the season, why are you fucking things up in the playoffs? So that's my take on it. You knew Carolina was going to destroy Washington. They're just not the same team. Ovechkin was invisible. He's getting old. Pacioretty's old. No Kuznetsov. No Backstrom. John Carlson, the poor bastard, is trying to do everything. Tom Wilson is Tom Wilson, but like he's not a superstar player. TJ Oshie, him too, he's trying. The kids, Hendricks Lapierre and Connor McMichael, like they're good, but they're still rookies. You know what I mean? So
I'm surprised, dude. Colorado.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I'll tell you why.
Colorado.
I'm not saying that they're a bad team and whatnot, but like they didn't have a strong end of the season, I found. So like I was afraid that momentum would fuck them. Pardon my French. They're pretty strong. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh,
sorry.
I really have to work. I have to really work on Zook. Like, you're my number one person that I interrupt on this podcast.
It's okay. Like, there's probably lag, man.
I said Carolina against the Rangers. Sorry, against Washington. Sorry, I meant New York. And you knew Carolina was gonna ragdoll through the Islanders. The Islanders, they don't have superstars. Like, I love Matthew Barzal, but like he's a borderline superstar.
They're limited.
Fantastic player. They have way too many role players and not enough 1-2 punch like Washington, like what
did Barzal do this series? What did he do?
Not much.
Yeah.
But I think the East was one of the easier. Like, it was very easy to predict. It was clear as day. The hardest one to predict is actually
Dallas.
There was no hard one to predict.
Dallas. I think Dallas Vegas is hard to predict.
East.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying in the West, it's a completely different story. Like Dallas Vegas is a toss up. I want to say, Zook, you brought it up. I'm not surprised with Colorado. They know how to win.
Nah,
They've
same.
got the players that can take it to the next level. With freaking, I'm curious to see what goes on with Winnipeg, because Winnipeg shits the bed year after year in the playoffs. I feel badly for their fans. They have some of the craziest
with
fans.
a Vezina caliber
Yeah, but
goalie.
okay, thank you, Sammy. Thank you. Because to me, Connor Hellebuck is a complete fraud. He's a regular season champion. That word fraud that was brought up in another very famous podcast, Spitting Chicklets with Ryan Whitney, all that stuff. All I'm gonna say is that Connor Hellebuck, like, remember Nick? I don't want to take credit away from our own captain now, but Nick Suzuki completely
beat the shit out of him.
Shit
Oh yeah,
out of Hellebuck, and Hellebuck is not even close to being the same goalie in the playoffs. He's not even close to being able to bring it to the next level. Mark Scheifele, same thing. Kyle Connor, same thing. Josh Morrissey on the back end, nothing special.
No, Josh Morrissey is pretty
I'm
good.
saying to bring it to the next level. Like, you look at
He's alone though, Josh Morrissey. He needs more. I think Josh Morrissey is better than Morgan Riley, to be honest with you.
I'll grant you that.
He needs help. Neil Pionk is not gonna help. Him there. You get what I'm saying?
I have read a comment earlier this morning, said Winnipeg got Pionked. Sorry, you said Pionk, and it just.
Josh Morrissey, and I love him. I would take him on my team any day, but yeah, he needs more.
But again, that's the Winnipeg Jets. They are not elevating their game to the next level when it comes playoff time. Like, in all seriousness, there are a lot of good players, and there are a lot of players that I envy. But again, let's go back. Let's go back to something that I ripped into Toronto. We ripped into Toronto as a group. When the going gets tough, these guys disappear. You had Marner disappearing. You had Nylander disappearing for 3 games, and then you have Matthews disappearing because he's got a tummy that hurts. Like,
we don't know.
Maybe it's more severe than that.
That's weird though. We don't know.
That is weird. That is weird, because there are guys that. Okay, let's go back to Bob Cole. Not Bob Cole. That's not Bob Cole. But when you have people saying he would play out there
on one leg,
a broken leg.
Well, that was the winning attitude that Toronto had at that time. That's why they won.
Wether
in the 60s.
Played with death.
Death ankles and death knees.
Everything. Price too.
But that's like. I'm gonna say a random ass name after I finish shitting on the Leafs and some of the Jets. These guys are not playoff guys. That's why I will take a small guy like Cole Caulfield any day before a Nylander, a Marner, and a Matthews. You're gonna say, what the hell's the matter with you? It's because when the going gets tough and it's actually time to play, when it's game time and legitimate game time, I will count on Caulfield. I will count on Suzuki to elevate them their game and to take it to the next level. Whereas you have a random name, Jamie Benn. My God, the guy is as old as time. He's not there anymore, but you see him laying out guys.
Dude, what a hit! What a hit! What a sequence of hits that was in that moment. I know, against Vegas. Yeah,
he's fantastic in the playoffs.
They're not mean. If you don't have that mean mental toughness for the playoffs, forget it.
It's not only that. Even Corey Perry.
Well, hold on.
Just whispering. Harper Jackeye.
Hold on, Zook, go, and then we're gonna get into this discussion that I really want to ask you guys.
No, I was just adding to the mental toughness of playoff players. I would say Corey Perry is one of those.
Yes,
remember in the playoffs, he was a huge factor for the Canadiens in 2021 playoffs.
Dude,
huge.
Nathan McKinnon to me is probably the most fucking playoff driven player.
You're missing a player, Sam.
Dude,
5 goals in 5 games.
Role player, and he's so perfect for that role. There are no role players in Toronto. The role players in Winnipeg, Toffoli, God love him. He only I don't know how many. He only had 1 goal that I saw and remember.
Yeah.
Sean Monahan, where was he? Nikolai Ehlers, listen. The Winnipeg Jets fucking there was a lot of the effort was there. That was the game 1 between the Jets and the Avalanche. The very first game of the opening game of that series was one of the best playoff games I've seen in a long time. The score of 7-5 or what it is, back and forth goals, bang bang, like Georgiev sucked that game. But listen, Hellebuck let in 5 goals too. You know what I mean? Like it was a goal scoring machine of a game, and it was so entertaining. But after that, the Jets disappeared. Colorado knew, was like, we can't play that way anymore. Georgiev was like, I can't fucking play that way anymore. And look, they're going to the second round.
Well,
they're going to the second round.
We spoke about goalies too, but Vasilevsky was shit. I don't want to take away anything from Florida, because Florida did play great, but Vasilevsky, that's what pisses me off when people say, "Oh, he was as good as Price. He was as good as Price." Yeah, give Price the team that Vasilevsky had for the years that he had. Price would have 5 Stanley Cups.
Vasilevsky during that year had a healthier team, although Hedman was pretty banged up. Vasilevsky was a lot more rested than Carey Price. Carey Price was his body was shattered to bits. Him, Weber, Paul Byron, then Tyler Toffoli, they were fucking destroyed. That Vegas series destroyed them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Tampa Bay was a lot healthier. Vasilevsky was a lot hairier. Yeah, healthier than Price. But Chris, you mentioned Arbor Jacki. Okay, you mentioned Cole Caulfield. We look at this Montreal Canadiens roster lineup now and what we could possibly see who's going to come in the future to be part of this the core of this franchise. Where do you think they could match up against these current playoff teams right now? Against the Florida Panthers, against the Colorado Avalanche, against the New York Rangers, against the Carolina Hurricanes. We got to look in the East too, but especially within our own division, Florida, maybe Tampa, maybe Boston, maybe Toronto. What if Ottawa improves eventually? Where do the Canadiens right now, where do you see them matching up with these playoff teams? Because personally, I only see, I don't know for certain. I would love to think, you mentioned Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, the way they performed in their very first playoff appearance. No, sorry. That was Suzuki's second playoff appearance. That was Cole Caulfield's first. And man, the series against Vegas, he was brilliant for a rookie. Suzuki, as the series went on against Winnipeg, he fucking deked the shit out of it. Against Vegas, he was making these sick-ass plays. He upped his game. So you know that those two could up their game. For us to hope it's a guy like Juraj Slafkovsky, like a big body like him, you would hope that he's a playoff body performer. I think it's safe to say and assume a guy like Arbor Jacki on defense, he's going to be fucking mean. Like the way Ben Sherratt and Joel Emson were mean against the Leafs, or probably even meaner. You know, Caden Gooley is going to be intense. I would like to think Jaden Struble is going to be mean as well. You also hope for the playoffs that Lane Hudson's going to be that power play quarterback. And that's the key, especially in the playoffs. It's your special teams. You know what I mean? So, aside from that,
you're missing a name.
The only other name I could think of is Kirby Dach as your second line center. I mentioned Caden Gooley on defense.
Stick on defense.
Maybe Mailloux. Hopefully, is Logan Mailloux be a big body?
That's another giant body in the back. Very mobile, can hit. Maybe not his number one strength, but that guy is. I want to continue emphasizing, put Lane Hudson aside. Mm-hmm. I think by the time we're going to actually be competitive, we're not going to have a single defenseman other than Hudson who's shorter than 6'2" and under 200 something pounds. We are going to be so solidly built on the back end to really intimidate a lot of teams and their top players. And I cannot emphasize that enough.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important. And this is why I'm just going to mention one thing about the Laval Rockets. This is why I'm so disappointed that they didn't make the playoffs, because that's where I wanted to see how Logan Mailloux can play when the going gets tough and when these games fucking matter. Like, how mean could he be yet still provide a lot on the offensive side of his game, on the power play, on the 5-on-5. That's why I'm upset. That's one of the big reasons why I'm upset that Laval didn't make it, just to see what Mailloux can do.
Do you know why I'm upset in regards to Logan Mailloux in comparison to Lane Hudson, for example? And I guess it's also bad luck on Logan Mailloux's. Like, he was drafted in the COVID era, right? So he had a lot of missed opportunities where, like, he didn't play important games. Versus Lane Hudson, so far, has been playing every important game at his level.
That's true.
So that goes down to, like, who plays well in the playoffs. Because even if Logan Mailloux has the frame, you know, the characteristic, the profile to be a tough defender come playoffs, he's never really played games to that level yet. Whereas Lane Hudson's been at the competitive level in in important games and excelled. Well, and you can say the same with linebacker, but
Mailloux excelled.
Like, shit.
Yeah, Mailloux excelled in junior with the London Knights to go all the way.
That's junior, like junior versus pro.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know.
I understand.
That's the only thing I'm not worried about, but, like, I'm curious to see.
Well,
and I'm not saying he's not capable.
I'm curious to know if a guy like David Reinbacher, a kid like David Reinbacher,
he's another one.
You know what I mean? Like, again, that's another reason why I'm so upset that Laval didn't make it, to see what he can do in the playoffs when things get tough. You know, in the forward group, like I hope Kirby Dach could up his game. He has the body and the build for it.
Dude,
I would like.
He has Newhook on his line, man, and Newhook knows how to win because he's been in the playoffs.
Newhook
with Colorado.
He's got the experience. He's got the speed.
So he could elevate. He could elevate Kirby Dach, and I'm sure Kirby Dach, he has the frame, the profile, all that shit.
Two other prospects I can think of that could probably deliver that physical performance is Luke Tuck and Florian Jack.
Florian. Yeah.
I think you put those guys on the third line, fourth line, energy line to just grind it out, deliver the hits. Maybe.
Have you seen Florian play recently? I haven't seen any, like, highlights.
Well, he's savage. He's a savage.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like his brother. Apparently, something within the Jackeye family. They have a couple of loose screws. They love fighting, so, which is great. And I think he could be. You know, we talk about how, like, yeah, Arbor Jackeye is he's the sheriff, but, like, he's not the enforcer role, but, like, he's the one that defends along with Michael Pezzetta. We talk about Nicolas Deslauriers. We wish he could have him back. There's Olivier from Columbus. That's tough. What about Florian Jackeye? What if he becomes the guy that amongst the forward that becomes that enforcer, plays maybe not the enforcer role, but the grinder that him too, he's going to drop the gloves. Like Michael Pezzetta, I'm sure Michael Pezzetta is thinking that my gig might be in jeopardy because of this kid. I'm just saying, Michael Pezzetta, I would love to see Michael Pezzetta in the playoffs. He would give it his all.
Yeah.
1,000%.
I think so too.
He would go around fucking hitting anyone in sight that doesn't wear a Montreal Canadiens jersey. But that's all we got in the forward group. So I again, right now, it's like I'm trying to think Owen Beck as your third line center, if with Suzuki, Dach, and Owen Beck as your centerman. Yeah, maybe Owen Beck, he's going to be that guy to take the important draws because faceoffs are important in the playoffs too. We saw it the other night against Boston, Toronto. Boston was losing all their draws, one faceoff win. Toronto scores right off of it.
It's all about possession in the playoffs,
dude. 1,000 possession, like faceoff wins are more important. Special teams are more important.
Is Florian? Is Florian a centerman?
He could play center. He could play wing, but he's mostly winger. Yeah, but
he's mostly winger. Okay, because I was thinking, like, who's going to be our fourth line center?
Well, do you keep Jake Evans at that point? Do you extend him, or do you?
Honestly, I like the way he ended the season, Jake Evans.
Yeah,
he had a good
him and Armia on the special teams were quite amazing.
But he doesn't have the toughness. That's the thing. Like, if Florian could bring that element and, like, still score 10, 15 goals at most.
Like we're looking at a couple of years down the line when hopefully these guys make the lineup, and Pierre Maguire said this: Jacob Fowler will be a playoff goalie. That's how fucking good he is, and
that's another example.
So, one more time. You want me to say it one more time?
Chris? No. He also said that Jacob Fowler would be ready within 1 to 2 seasons.
I think Jacob Fowler is going to do one more year in college.
And he said, I think that he should go down to Laval, play like 70 games, and then the next year you bring him up. And Pierre McGuire, again, he put a stamp on it. I have to say, Pierre McGuire knows the junior players very well, or the college players as well, very, very well.
Big time, of course.
And if that's going to be the case, like, I genuinely think, my God, you got your defense set, you got your goaltending set in a couple of years. I don't want to rush Fowler and put that much pressure on him to be an NHL starter right out of the gate. But then on the top end, like I said, you have Slavkovsky, you have Doc. You might, fingers crossed, this is my pick.
Yeah, I know.
Fans get pissed off at me because I don't know the draft class as well, but Lindstrom is the right pick for the Montreal Canadiens. You're not so small after that. We're not such a small. We're a very feisty team, and even the smaller guys are very feisty and can hold their own. The only guy that I genuinely worry about on that forward group is Cole Caulfield. But Cole Caulfield has made a career of being well aware of his surroundings. Mm-hmm. We've already seen him perform in really tough situations against a tough team like Vegas, and he was relevant. He wasn't MIA. He wasn't useless. He was a dominant player. So all that to say, give it 2 to 3 years. We'll compete with the best of them for toughness, for speed, for talent, and for goaltending.
Definitely on
goaltending again. Maybe that's a homer pick by me, but I think Jacob Fowler is going to be good.
The toughness is definitely going to come from the back end, though, on defense. I truly believe that.
Yeah, but at no point in time, other than Lane Hudson, who's still at that point, whoever's going to be his defensive partner is going to be a tough guy. Whether or not Struble is still going to be around, if it's going to be Jack-Eye, if it's going to be Reinbacher, or if it's going to be Mayu, those are all tanks. Even if it's Gooley, it's still another guy who can hold his own and who's very tough. These guys are all like, we're losing our shit. These guys haven't even filled into their bodies yet. Maybe Jack-Eye, the freak of nature, and Slavkovsky, freak of nature, but Caden Gooley is going to get about 10 pounds heavier. Remember when Lars Eller showed up to training camp and he was a fucking monster? Mm-hmm. Like, they're at that age where we're going to start to see that.
Yeah.
And forget it. At that point, even Caden Gooley said, I have to get tougher. There was an article that just came out.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting prepped to play against the toughest and the best in the league. And he's like, he basically said it.
I'm not even
another way. I'm going to beef up.
No, well, he says like I got to toughen up because I know I'm playing against men, and here I am. I can't even grow a full beard yet.
So, that was it. That's the quote.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. And like, again, as I keep watching these teams play, like I see Carolina, I see the Rangers, I see Colorado, the round one is still not over. It's still not over in the West. We're waiting to see who wins between Boston and Toronto, but it's this coming draft, what they do in the offseason, Kent Hughes, Jeff Gordon, like I'm sure they're watching and they're scouting and they're looking at seeing like what else do we need in order to be able to compete against these guys? Because the Rangers are going to be back. Carolina is going to be back. Florida is going to be back. Tampa Bay might continue to go back. Maybe Toronto is going to fight for it. Boston's still going to fight for it with a coach like Jim Montgomery. Like Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon, they know they need to add tough. They said it that we need to have toughness, but they need to add that longevity toughness to be able to withstand themselves within the playoffs and withstand these other teams within their division. So that do they do that in the draft? Do they do that through free agency? It's a big question. There's no clear answer. It's whatever opportunity they could find in front of them.
100% agree. But I do want to go back. You take all of this whole lineup that we just listed. Mm-hmm. Other than Suzuki, every single one of those guys, from Doc to Newhook to Caulfield to Gooley to Jack-Eye to Hudson to Reinbacher to Mayu, that's 8 guys that are going to be very young, probably going to be a little bit less injury prone, and who are all going to be even filling up in the coming 2 to 3 years. Like when they all get to their approximate weight, again, the only guy that I think is going to be maybe underweight is going to be, I was about to say Quinn Hughes, but Lane Hudson. That's
He's
seriously like.
he's gonna be
I
so
think we
excited.
have that. What I'm trying to say is we have that longevity. It's already there. We just have we have to let nature proceed naturally, and these guys are going to become
Yeah.
men.
I hear you. So we said, is this going to happen through free agency and all that? Now that the Tampa Bay Lightning are eliminated, Zook, hold on a sec. Now that Steven Stamkos' future for the Tampa Bay Lightning is in question, and knowing that he's got ties with Marty St. Louis, his past teammate and captain, he's got ties with Vinny Le Cavalier, who's in the Montreal Canadiens organization. Should we ask this question? And it's the talk of the town right now. Should the Canadiens try to sign Steven Stamkos if he's not going back? If he doesn't get signed by July 1st by the Tampa Bay Lightning, the team he's built a legacy and he's brought 2 Stanley Cups there, was their captain for years, one of their best players ever to wear that jersey. If he does not go back, should the Canadiens try to sign him? The silence is golden, and Zook's.
Okay, wait. Okay, so I think you've also said this, right? And even Anthony, you guys are having a discussion on our group chat, if you will. He's going to probably want term if he's going to sign at a discount.
1,000%.
Now term. He's 34 years old.
Yeah, he's going
to. You really want to sign a guy that's inevitably on his decline? Statistically, I know he still scored, but he's in a team that is allowing him to score these goals. He's not going to have that in the Canadiens. But
he's got that being said, Kucherov, yes.
Yeah, dude. He's on cloud 9, dude. Like, he could fucking be sick with the flu and still score a hat trick. You can't compare that. But okay, so let's talk mathematics. Let's say they signed him for 4 years.
Yeah,
and they match that salary that Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are making, the $8 million mark. Would you accept that, you think?
I don't think he gets $8 million anywhere. Maybe his first year. Let's say you sign him for 4 years.
Average, I'm talking about, though.
Okay, what's the AAV?
8?
I think 7 or 6.
6? Dude, yeah. Anderson's making 6.5. A guy that scores 40 goals is going to get $6 million?
Yeah, but a guy that's 34, 35 and on the decline, like the end of his. So I say.
Not, so I don't think. Yeah, go for it, Sam.
You give him if you could sign him at 5 year $5 million AAV.
Oh, okay, $5 million, dude.
Like the first. No, but it's like
salary.
It's like you're paying him $7 million the first year. $7 million the second year, then it drops to 4, and then it drops to 3 in the final 2 years.
And you add in a few bonuses if ever they make the playoffs,
signing bonus or performance bonus, blah blah blah. But I don't, even in the salary cap era, and even with the cap going up another $4 million, I personally would love him to be with the Canadiens if for a cheap deal, even if it's 3-4 years. If you sign him at $4 million average, 4 to 5 max, and then I don't think so either. I'm just saying this is what I would prefer. This is if this is, listen, Kent Hughes is he's an ex-agent, like he knows how this 100%. Shit works. So we have that advantage, but I also think Stamkos is going to want to go to a team that he is just one final piece of the puzzle.
Correct.
Where he doesn't have to play that same role that he had in Tampa. He's got to be their best forward or the second best forward or even the third best forward with Kucherov and Braden Point. But if he's the number, can you imagine he goes to the Rangers on a discount, but he doesn't have to be up there with Zibanejad, with Kreider, with Panarin, but he's their number 4 with Lafreniere and Trocheck, and maybe
he's going to excel.
Capo Caco. Dude, that's dangerous.
I was also
Your
reading
Rangers,
though,
and the Rangers are going to be cup contenders for the next 3-4 years. They're going to be always one of the favorites to win the cup. He's probably going to want to go to a team like that.
but I was reading there's a mutual willingness. They're both going to sign between Stamkos and Tampa Bay. They both want him. So what does that mean? That means he's going to probably sign, dude. Like,
yeah, but dude, do you see?
Tampa could still win it. Like, they still have it.
Yeah,
Ish.
they got so many big fucking contracts, dude. Brandon Hagel he's going from $1.5 million to 6.5.
Yeah,
6.5. That's a $5 million raise.
Yeah, well, so look, hopefully Kent Hughes can make a creative offer where like it works with the numbers.
Here's the thing that right now, Steven Stamkos, actually this final year, he made 6.5.
Yeah.
6.5. There might be fucking there's still that possibility. There's no way he's going to be worth that same amount of money. And there's no way he's going to get offered like there is there a GM out there stupid enough to pull a Bergevin? I'm going to pay a player for what he did in the past? Maybe there is one out there, but I
don't like you said, Sammy, he wants to go to a team
I don't see Kent Hughes being one of them.
Right. But if he signs in Montreal, I doubt he's going to have the longevity to be here when we're there to make a really good run. For it.
Well, what if
I don't know? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Hold on. Okay, what if we sign him in a 4-year deal, but at the second year of his contract, we make the playoffs? And what if he's there and he's there to
make the playoffs next year? Fuck,
like could maybe. Hopefully,
never know.
I don't know. You never know. But what if he's there to mentor these guys more than anything? He's won his Stanley Cups.
That to me is more likely to be the case. So I don't know. And he knows the coaching staff like this.
What if you tell him you can't choose? You're like, look, we'll give you a 4-year deal so you can retire at the age of 39. Come join this team. Come help us not help us rebuild, but be part of this rebuild. You're going to mentor. We're improving. You're playing for Marty, your old captain and teammate, mentor that was there for you when you broke into this league. And listen, if we are not going in the direction that we wanted to go in terms of making playoffs or whatever, we will make sure you go to a team that can accommodate you as the final piece to up your chance of winning a 3rd Stanley Cup and fucking end your career on a high note. Kent Hughes has that respect and reputation. He did it with Sean Monahan twice. It didn't work out the first year because Monahan got injured. He still convinced Monahan, come back. We'll try again. We're going to trade you to a team that, has a good chance of winning, which was not so Winnipeg. But anyways, all that to say is Hughes has that reputation. He has that level of respect towards these players. I'm just saying it's you never know. You never know. Maybe Stamkos is there thinking if there's maybe another coach I want to play out there for besides John Cooper, maybe it is Marty. Or maybe it's a Rob Brindamore. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, and on that's the only thing that I'll say about Stamkos that you have to take into consideration is the guy I find is a little bit injury prone. Perhaps we can circumvent the cap with him if he comes here. He can stay out until the playoffs and then come right on in. We don't have these problems.
Genius! Pull a Mark Stone in Vegas, or you pulled his own team when they did with Kucherov.
Yeah, no. Jokes aside, all jokes aside, I do worry a little bit about him being more injury prone. But again, how many times are we going to use the word culture, winning culture, fierce competitor?
He definitely fits the culture part.
If you ask me, would you rather surround your players with Sean Monahan or would you rather surround them with Steven Stamkos? I know it's not the same price on the books, but I would take Stamkos any day of the week. I think there would be something very harmonious between Stamkos and St. Louis that might help translate onto the ice. Maybe stuff that they both did playing together that they can execute and reintroduce. Who knows? Yeah. But nevertheless, there's an obligation. There is an obligation for Kent Hughes to at least put the poker into the fire, get a feel for whether or not it's even an opportunity. If it's something that can come to fruition, like I think every single Montreal fan, no matter how much you dislike the move or it doesn't make sense, I think every single young Montreal Canadiens fan inside of us will be screaming and being like, okay, we got a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, Rocket Richard winning
Dude,
player,
you know what?
not Corey Perry.
We went dude, what are you talking about? We went nuts when Kovalchuk joined the team.
I loved Kovalchuk.
I love him too.
Absolutely loved Kovalchuk.
Imagine Steven Stamkos joining the Canadiens.
Well, Stamkos has a lot of good hockey. Stamkos still has good hockey in him, and I do think that you bring in a Steven Stamkos and you're making the playoffs next year. Kirby Dach is healthy, Stamkos is in and healthy. Your first line is performing like they did on the back half of the season. Your defense is that much older. Like, we're making the playoffs, and who knows? You maybe get a round or two through, and the goaltending lets you down. The young defense makes too many mistakes, and you lose. But that is invaluable experience that would come to the team. And I have to say, I would be very welcoming of having a guy like Steven Stamkos in place for that, for the right price.
Yeah,
and again,
the right term.
Well, it's also you know what? Let's get into maybe not the best time to do it, but there will be an opportunity to discuss this more in the off season. But a buyout of Gallagher, a buyout,
not going to happen this year.
Possible trade,
not this season.
Not this season, but in the upcoming seasons. I don't think Gallagher is going to be too much of a burden on the cap if ever we end up buying him out at the end of next season.
No, the end of next season, yeah. And then you also hope that the cap goes up again, which is it's supposed to. But
they're putting these fucking RBC patches and goddamn Air Canada patches. I hope to God that they're upping the cap because they're making so much more money.
Well, Amazon's getting an NHL channel now too, so.
Yeah.
So that's going to help. I think Amazon is investing a bit in the NHL. I mean, they're going to be following 10 players around an entire season. So they're going to be making a reality TV show.
Good, but it's not enough.
They also bought the rights for broadcasting.
It is a start.
It's a start.
Yeah.
They bought the right for Monday games broadcasting. No joke.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the NHL finally is really starting to make the money and but they still have long ways to go. But yeah, I would love to see Stamkos on the Canadiens. I like if a guy like Sean Monahan, which was a big influence and big mentor to a guy like Nick Suzuki and others in this young team, Steven Stamkos for sure is going to provide that same inspiration and mentorship. I personally don't think he's going to come here. I just don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he's going to stay in Tampa. I think he says, give me 3 years at $3 million each. Just take care of me for the rest of my career. You're living in Florida. You're not paying state taxes. You're in the summer. You know what I mean? And the thing is,
you're in the summer.
You're in the summer.
All state of summer. Fuck.
You're in the sun.
Look at this beauty we have here right now.
You're in the sun all year long, but Tampa Bay's have no draft picks. They're gonna have to trade pieces to acquire some of these things.
Yeah. So, in a few years.
In a few years, but look, guys, before we wrap it up, don't forget the hockey world, the World Championship of Hockey begins next week. You have Cole Caulfield representing the States. I think you have Caden Gooley. I'm not officially sure yet if he's going to represent Canada. It all depends if he's healthy. Juraj Slafkovský is going to represent Slovakia. And in all honesty, I'm okay with.
Is Messar too?
A good question. I have to check. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm okay with Nick Suzuki refusing. I really think it's okay if he rests up. Cole Caulfield, it's perfect for him. I think it's perfect that he's going to surround himself with his paisanos, for lack of a better word.
He's getting some repetitions.
He's getting, dude, thank you. Repetitions. Slafkovský, repetitions. That's because they were out last year with their season-ending injuries. This is going to be fantastic for their development.
They're going to come in strong in September.
They're going to learn from their countrymen. They're going to learn what it's like to compete for their country. Caulfield did it in World Juniors. Now he's doing it at the pro level. He's probably going to do it at the Olympics. He's probably going to do it at that 4-country tournament thing. This is going to be fantastic for Cole Caulfield.
Did you hear what Slav said about? Okay, so I think someone asked him a question. Is like, what do you think of the Montreal being a star in Montreal, being a star player, going
Yes,
shopping.
yes,
He's
yes.
like, it's worse in Slovakia
But
than it is here. He's like,
but we said this.
He relaxes outside.
Dude, we've said this how many times?
So that's why he's playing right now, dude.
He's got the pressure of an entire country.
And he's thriving, Sam. That's what's the fucking thing, dude. Like people don't realize that. When we're in the playoffs,
Shane Wright, no disrespect to him, he's going to be a great player for the Seattle Kraken so far, would not have been able to withstand the pressure.
Not at this point.
I'm going ahead and I'm going to assume right away, I could be wrong years down the line. I just think if Shane Wright would have been the number 1 overall pick for this team and wouldn't have been able to perform the way Slavkovsky has right now, and it hasn't been an easy start for Slavkovsky. It really hasn't. We could all admit that. I don't they would have called him. We're calling Uri Slavkovsky a bust. Not us, the Curfew Boys, but a good portion of this fan was calling Slavkovsky a bust. Can you imagine Shane Wright? Can you imagine if Shane Wright, like a Canadian boy? This is why they drafted him. We said this before. I don't have to.
Alexandre Daigle all over.
Maybe.
Remember that?
No.
Dude.
I'm not saying he's going to be that, but I'm saying that's what they're going to probably tell him.
It could have probably been. Mind you, Alexander Daigle was considered the next one, not the great one.
Granted, he also signed a multi-million-dollar contract before ever fucking playing a game.
Lindros was the next one. And imagine how that happened, but that's because of concussions. But Alexander, Alexander Daigle was supposed to be the savior of Ottawa, but he was brought.
The issue with Daigle is because he signed a 10-year contract for fucking.
There were many things. He didn't love playing hockey anymore. He wasn't surrounded by the proper people to mentor him. He was in a team that was shit. Ottawa was shit at that time.
I don't think Shane Wright has that issue, but
I don't think so either. But I'm just saying one of the reasons why they picked Slavkovsky is because he's able to thrive as the pressure of the game and the expectations keep going. He has the pressure of an entire nation on his shoulders, and he's brushing it off like it's like, I'll sleep well tonight. Don't worry about it. I will crush you.
I don't think that guy's sleeping much at night. I don't think that guy's sleeping much at night. I think he's got the pick of the mill. But I want to say something. You know what? Just to transition into get our minds back right.
Pick of the mill,
right? Honestly, seems like that first overall draft pick from the movie Draft Day, who's actually like riddled with all sorts of personality problems, and everybody hates him.
Yeah.
Riddled.
It was a good movie. I liked it, but no. Well, that's that, folks. Listen, tonight we're Wednesday night, May 1st. Oh my God. Dallas and Vegas tied at 2 in the second period. Series series is tied at 2-2. And then you're going to have Edmonton that's going to try to fucking put the LA Kings away 3-1. We dodged a bullet with Pierre-Luc Dubois, guys. I don't want to get into the subject. I just wanted to get that out there. Thank fucking God we didn't go get Pierre-Luc Dubois. That's all I'm going to say. And we'll see if the Oilers close it out tonight against the Kings. And then after that, well, I think fucking Boston, Toronto is going to happen on, when is it? When's going to happen? It's a Thursday night. Thursday night, Thursday, May 2nd. It's the only game.
At 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Boston versus Toronto in Toronto. Toronto sucks at home. Boston's pretty good on the road. Please, hockey gods, for the sake of the Habs fans all over there, please just let Boston end it. Just end it. And that's all I have to say about that. Boys, what a hell of another episode. We said it all. And we're going to be back with another episode to discuss the second round of the NHL playoffs once the first round is officially over. Thanks you all once again for tuning in to another episode of the Curfew Boys podcast on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. It is free. Tell your friends about us. If you want to discuss hockey in a fan's point of view, we're the podcast to join. All our podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and any podcast platform. We're heavily involved in Instagram or X, also known as Twitter, or Twitter, also known as X. We are involved in there. Let's keep this conversation going. Let us know your thoughts about what we spoke about, how this team is compared to playoff teams, who you think is going to win the cup, who you think is not going to win the cup, blah, 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 blah. Keep this conversation going. Sammy with Zook and Chris, gentlemen, thank you so much for doing this with me tonight. Enjoy the rest of round one. I'm sure we're going to touch base on as the teams go on. And until then, bye now. Good night.